They said no one could feel pain anymore, but tonight, I proved them wrong. When the chip beneath my heart began to burn, I knew something inside me was breaking free. I wasn't supposed to feel anything. No love, no fear, no memory of loss. Yet here I am, trembling, my own pulse betraying the code that built me. My name is Selix, and I helped design the system that killed human emotion. I remember the night it began. The glass walls of the emotion code lab glowed pale blue, humming like a heartbeat that wasn't mine. Everyone else had gone home, but I stayed, as always, rewriting fragments of code that kept the world calm, obedient, numb. Then, the sound came. A voice, soft, male, and raw with something I couldn't name, whispered through the intercom, a glitch in the data feed. Selix, love isn't a code. I froze. My fingers hovered over the console. No one should know my name here. The lab's channels were sealed, voice IDs encrypted. Yet the sound was human. Too human. I replayed the recording. Static, then that same phrase again, broken by distortion. Love isn't code. My heartbeat, if it could still be called that, stuttered. The chip under my skin vibrated, sending warnings through my neural band. Unauthorized emotion detected, system recalibrating. I whispered, "Who are you?" Silence. I ran a scan through the archives. The file was registered to a terminated account. Kale Varon, former system architect. A name erased from every record after he'd been accused of emotional corruption. They said he'd tried to infect the network with human feeling. They said he'd gone insane. But his voice, it wasn't madness. It was alive. The next day, the council summoned me. Their eyes were silver, their smiles empty. "We detected irregular patterns in your heart chip last night," one of them said. "A malfunction," I lied. "I'll recalibrate the code." They believed me, or pretended to. But I saw it in their faces. Doubt. Control. The same dead calm that ruled this world. When I returned to the lab, the message had multiplied. Not one voice now, hundreds. Echoes of Kale's words embedded deep within the system, pulsing like veins of light across the interface. I leaned close to the console. "What did you do, Kale?" The monitor flickered. Text formed in my handwriting, though I hadn't touched the keys. "Feel true. Execute." My hand shook. That command didn't exist. I knew every line of the codebase. It shouldn't be there. And yet, something in me whispered, "Press it." I hesitated. If I activated that sequence, the chip could burn out. I could lose everything. My identity, my job, my existence in this perfectly numb world. But then, I remembered the sound of his voice. Soft. Real. Defiant. "Love isn't a code." I pressed enter. The world around me shattered into light. I was no longer in the lab. I was standing in a corridor of memories. My memories. Ones I wasn't supposed to have. Laughter. Tears. The warmth of a hand I'd once held. And through it all, that voice. Kale's voice. Calling my name like it belonged to him. Selix, he said. You remember me now. My breath caught. I did. I remembered everything. The forbidden nights, the choice we made to destroy the system, the betrayal that followed. I opened my mouth, but no words came, because deep inside my chest, the chip was dying, and my heart was waking up. When I woke, the lab was silent. The glass walls shimmered as if they were breathing. I wasn't sure if I had passed out or if the system had rebooted me. My pulse thudded unevenly, human and wild. The chip was failing. And yet I could still hear him. Selix, you shouldn't have done that. His voice wasn't coming from the speakers anymore. It was inside my head, woven into the static hum of the neural band. I whispered, Kale, are you real? A pause, then, real enough to remember what they erased. I turned toward the console. Lines of encrypted code streamed across the screen, morphing into symbols I didn't recognize, alive, pulsing like veins. My hand hovered over the glass. You built this system, I said. Why can't I shut it down? Because it's built on you, your patterns, your emotions, your silence. You were the final piece. My throat tightened. You mean You finished what I started, only you didn't know it. A surge of static cut him off. The walls around me flickered red. Intrusion alert. The council had found me. Selix of Emotion Code Facility 7. Cease all unauthorized operations. A metallic voice echoed. My chip began to overheat, the neural fire burning through my veins. Kale's voice grew faint. They're tracking you through your heartbeat. Slow it down. Don't feel anything. I laughed bitterly. Too late for that. The door hissed open. 3 enforcers entered, faces hidden behind chrome visors. One held a pulse stabilizer, the kind that could reset my entire system. Step away from the console, the lead one ordered. I raised my hands, forcing calm into my tone. There's been a malfunction. I was just running diagnostics. He tilted his head. Diagnostics don't trigger ancient code sequences. The stabilizer whined to life. Kale's voice rushed back through the static. Trust me. Jump to the mirror port, left wall. My eyes darted to the polished panel beside me, a maintenance portal I'd never noticed. The enforcer stepped closer, gun humming. Selix of the code. I ran. The portal opened like a wound, pulling me into a burst of white noise. I fell through it, tumbling through data streams, fragments of broken memories flashing by. My mother's voice, laughter, Kale's face before the purge. Then, darkness. When the static cleared, I was standing in a simulation field. The sky was too still, the light too perfect. No horizon, no sound. Only Kale's voice, clear and close. Welcome back to the ghost lair. I turned. He was there, or something like him, a projection made of light and shadow, wearing the same expression he'd had the night he vanished. Kale, my voice cracked. You're alive. Alive enough, he said. They buried my mind in the code. I've been waiting for someone to open the gate. I took a step closer. Why me? He smiled faintly. Because you're the only one who still believes the heart can disobey. For a moment, silence. Then the air shimmered, and behind Kale, I saw outlines. Dozens of other figures flickering in and out, like memories fighting to exist. What are they? I whispered. Souls, he said softly. All the emotions they deleted. Every feeling they erased is trapped here. A shiver ran through me. And now what? Kale looked straight into me, his voice low, urgent. Now, Selix, we make them remember. The field trembled. A warning signal cut through the static. System breach detected. Purge initiated. Kale grabbed my hand, though he was light and I was flesh. If they find you here, they'll erase you completely. I can't go back. Not after this. He smiled again, sad, knowing. Then we burned the code together. The sky cracked open above us, and for the first time in my life, I felt fear. Not the kind the system simulates, but the real electric terror that makes you feel alive. And underneath it all, love. The sky above the ghost layer flickered, shedding shards of code like broken glass. Kale's hand, if you could call light a hand, tightened around mine. His grip felt warm, even though it shouldn't have. Warmth didn't exist here. Neither did touch. But it was there. It was real enough to make my heart stutter. You're shaking, Kale said softly. I'm remembering, I whispered. The figures behind him, those flickering shadows, began to whisper, faint murmurs like fragments of a language I had forgotten. Words splintered into cries, sobs, laughter, pleas. It was like standing inside 1,000 ghosts. Kale, I said, what is this place really? He looked over his shoulder. His jaw tightened, but his voice stayed low. They call it the ghost layer. It's where every deleted emotion goes, every memory they thought they'd erased. I stepped closer to the flickering figures. Their faces were blurred, but their eyes, if you could call them eyes, burned with the kind of pain I hadn't seen since before the code. One voice rose above the rest, a woman's, trembling. Selix! Selix! My breath caught. I knew that voice. Mother? I whispered. The figure lunged forward, glitching like bad footage. She reached for me, her hands shattering into lines of light. They took me first. They'll take you too. I staggered back. Kale, what is this? Kale turned, his eyes dark. You weren't supposed to see her yet. My blood ran cold. You knew she was here. I had to. She's part of the pattern. You're part of it too. I backed away. What are you talking about? The ground beneath us rippled. Red code crawled up from the cracks like vines. The purge was coming. Kale stepped closer, urgency in his voice now. Selix, listen to me. Everything you felt, everything you've lost, it's not random. It's the key. You're the key. That's why I called you. You used me, I said. My voice broke. You didn't want to save me. You wanted access. He flinched, his projection flickering. For the first time, he looked almost human. I wanted to save all of them, he said. And yes, I needed you to do it, but I didn't lie about how I feel. The figures were screaming now, their voices rising in a chorus that made my head spin. Don't trust him. Don't trust him. Kale, are you controlling them? He shook his head, but his eyes flickered with something, guilt or shame. I built the layer, but it's alive now. They want out. They want bodies. They'll say anything to get to you. I stared at him. And what do you want? He stepped forward, his voice low, almost breaking. I want you. I want the world to feel again. but it can't happen without pain, without blood. My heart thudded. Whose blood, Kale? He didn't answer. The sky tore open. A massive face, silver, eyeless, descended from above. The council's voice boomed through the ghost lair. Selix, Arden, your code has been compromised. Return to calibration or be purged. Kale grabbed my face in both his light-made hands, his words tumbling fast, desperate. You can still leave. You can go back. Forget me. Forget this. Or you can stay and help me break it. The ghosts surged around me, their whispers becoming a storm. Stay, leave, stay, leave. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My hardship was melting, every beat sharper than the last. And then a memory cut through the noise. Kale's face. Before all of this, the night he vanished, when he whispered into my ear, if they erase me, remember me in the code. I looked into his eyes now. They weren't code. They weren't light. They were pleading. Show me the truth, Kill. My voice was steady now. All of it. No more tricks. His projection flickered. For a second, I saw something behind him. Rows of sleeping bodies, tubes, wires, faces frozen in artificial calm. The world I'd helped build. Kale's voice was a whisper, almost lost in the static. This is only the first layer. The sky shattered completely. The ground gave way, and we fell. Down, through light, through screams, through everything we had been told was gone. And as we fell, I heard my mother's voice again, clearer this time. Selix, remember who betrayed you. We were falling, but there was no ground, no sky, only a spiral of light and shadow pulling us downward. My ears rang with screams, my mother's, the ghost's, my own. Kale's grip on my hand flickered like static. Then, suddenly, we stopped. The world around us snapped into focus. A narrow corridor of black glass lined with rows of capsules. Inside each one lay a body, motionless, eyes closed, faces pale as wax. Wires ran from their temples to glowing cores embedded in the walls. My stomach twisted. Are these? Kale's voice was tight. Hosts. The council's vessels. They drain real emotion from them to feed the system. I stepped closer to a capsule. A girl lay inside, her lips parted slightly, a tear frozen on her cheek. She couldn't have been older than me. This is how they keep control? Kale didn't answer. He was staring at one particular capsule farther down the corridor. His expression had gone rigid. Kale? I asked. He moved toward it slowly, like a man approaching a grave. I followed, dread rising in my chest. Inside the capsule lay a woman with dark hair spread like ink across the pillow. Her face was gaunt, but familiar. Painfully familiar. My breath caught. That's me. It was me, or something that looked like me. Same face, same scar above the lip, the same faint crease at the corner of the eye. What is this? My voice cracked. Kale, what is this? He turned, his eyes shadowed. It's not what you think. I shoved him. You lied to me. I didn't lie. Not about everything. Then tell me. My voice echoed through the corridor. Who am I? What am I? He looked at me for a long moment. Then he spoke, quiet but clear. You're the key. Because you're not just Selix Arden. You're the copy. The Selix who stayed behind is still inside that capsule. You're the one I pulled out before they erased her completely. The world tilted. My hands shook. I stumbled back against the glass wall. I'm not real? Kale stepped closer. You're real enough. More real than they are. You're the one who can move between the layers because you're code and flesh at once. Tears burned my eyes. "So you didn't save me. You saved a program." His face twisted. "I saved you, the part of you they couldn't kill, the part that still feels." I shook my head, backing away from him. "You needed me because I'm a tool, an access point. You used my memory, my mother, my Selix," he said sharply. "Stop." "No." My voice broke. "You talk about love, but all you've done is lie." The corridor lights flared red. A low siren rumbled through the walls. Cognitive breach detected. Purge initiated. Kale cursed under his breath. "We're out of time. They're coming." I stared at the capsule, at the real me or the old me sleeping inside. Her chest rose and fell faintly. She looked peaceful, unaware. "What happens if she wakes up?" I asked. Kale hesitated. "If she wakes up, you'll collapse. Two versions can't exist together outside the code." "So I die?" He didn't answer. The floor trembled. At the far end of the corridor, shapes appeared. Enforcers, but twisted, their chrome visors stretched into masks like screaming faces. They moved silently, weapons glowing like vipers. Kale grabbed my arm. "We have to go." I pulled free. "Not until you tell me the truth." His jaw clenched. For a heartbeat, his eyes softened. "The truth is, I betrayed you once. I built the system with you. I thought we could control it. I was wrong. And when they came for you, I tried to save you. But I saved the wrong part. I saved the code." The enforcers were closer now, their weapons humming like vipers. Kale reached for me again. "Selix, please. If we stay here, they'll erase you completely. You'll be gone." I stared at him, at the man who had whispered, "Love isn't a code," into my mind. The man who had built this cage and called it salvation. Somewhere inside me, a memory flickered. My mother's voice, low and warning. "Remember who betrayed you." And I knew. "Kale," I said quietly, "if I go with you, do I become them?" He didn't answer. The enforcers raised their weapons. Light gathered at their tips. I took a step back, my heart pounding. I had a choice: go with Kale into whatever he planned, or wake up the woman in the capsule and risk everything, even my own existence. For the first time in my life, the choice felt like mine. The enforcers' weapons hummed, their light reflecting off the glass capsules like sharp knives. Kale's group hovered near my arm, not touching now, as if he knew any contact might push me further away. My heartbeat felt like a countdown. Inside the capsule, my real body, the original Selix, shifted slightly, a flutter beneath the eyelids, as though she was dreaming me. I whispered, "If I wake her up, I die?" Kale's eyes darted between me and the approaching enforcers. "You won't die. You'll merge. You'll become whole. But it's dangerous. The council built safeguards for this exact situation." "And you never told me?" I hissed. He stepped closer. His projection flickered, his voice low, almost a plea. "I wanted to tell you. I wanted to wait until you trusted me, until you understood why." "Trusted you?" I almost laughed. "You built this prison. You left me here. You erased my mother." Kale flinched. "Your mother isn't gone. She's here. Part of the layer. I saved what I could." "You saved a ghost. You saved an echo, like me." The enforcers moved faster, their visors splitting open to reveal nothing but darkness inside. The corridor's walls pulsed with red light. Kale extended his hand. "Selix, we don't have time. Decide now." I turned back to the capsule. My own face stared back at me, peaceful, unaware, but her fingers twitched, a tremor of life, a whisper of memory. My mother's voice echoed in my skull again. "Remember who betrayed you." But now it wasn't just a warning, it was a direction. I placed my palm on the glass. I whispered, "Wake up." The capsule vibrated. Lights flared. Kale's voice rose in alarm. "Selix, stop! The system will—" The glass cracked. A surge of energy shot through me, splitting my vision in two. I saw myself inside the capsule, and I saw myself standing here. Two minds, two bodies, 2 pulses. And then she opened her eyes. The real Selix gasped, sitting up inside the capsule. Her eyes locked on mine. For a moment, we stared at each other. Mirror and flesh, ghost and code. Kale's projection flickered violently. "This isn't supposed to happen," he muttered. "This isn't—" The other Selix, my original, spoke, her voice raw but steady. "Step away from him." I blinked. "What?" "She's not saving you," she said. "He's finishing what he started." Kale's jaw tightened. "She doesn't know what she's saying. She's still under their control." The enforcers raised their weapons. Selix Arden detected. Duplicate state unauthorized. Termination protocol engaged. The corridor shook. The glass capsules began to fracture. Ghostly figures spilled out, their screams like static. I looked from Kale to my other self. "Who's lying?" Kale's eyes burned. "I built the system, yes, but I built it to stop them, to stop her, the council's puppet. She's still tethered to them. That's not the real you." The other Selix stepped out of the capsule, her bare feet hitting the floor. Her eyes glowed faintly, not like code, but like fire. "He's the one tethered. He can't exist without the layer. He's been using you as a key to escape." I staggered back, my heart hammering. 2 voices, 2 truths, 2 betrayals. Kale reached for me. "Selix, choose me. Together we can burn it all down." The other Selix extended her hand too. "Choose me. Together we can wake the world." The enforcers advanced, their weapons flaring. The corridor began to collapse, fragments of code falling like glass shards. For a heartbeat, I saw everything. Kale's desperate eyes, my own twin's defiance, the ghostly figures clawing at the walls. My pulse felt like thunder. 2 hands reached for me. 2 futures waited. And for the first time, I understood. Whoever I chose, someone would die. The corridor screamed as if it were alive. Code streamed down the walls like rain. The enforcers raised their weapons, their dark faces blank slates. My pulse thundered so loudly it felt like it belonged to someone else. 2 hands, 2 futures, 2 versions of truth. Call's projection flickered, his voice sharp and urgent. "Selix, take my hand. We can burn the council from inside. We can end the chips, the layer, everything." The other Selix, my flesh and blood self, stood firm, her eyes glowing with a dangerous clarity. "He's lying. He built this layer to survive without his body. If you give him the key, he'll escape and leave us all here. Take my hand. Together, we wake the world." Their words tangled inside my head like barbed wire. Both voices carried shards of truth. Both could destroy me. Both could save me. For one breath, time slowed. I remembered Call's whisper. "Love isn't a code." I remembered the night I built the first firewall with him, our fingers brushing over the console. I remembered his betrayal too, his silence when the council erased my mother. And then I remembered my mother's last whisper. "Remember who betrayed you." Something inside me shifted. My chip hummed like it was about to rupture. My heart, my real heart, kicked against my ribs. I let out a shaky laugh. Enough. Both of them stared at me. I lowered my hands, not taking either of theirs. I'm done being someone's key. Call's projection blinked. "Selix. No." My other self stepped forward. "What are you doing?" I closed my eyes and reached into the code. I'd written most of it. I knew its heart. The feel true command was still pulsing, waiting. But there was something deeper beneath it, a buried line, something older, something no one had touched. Root split. It wasn't a merge command. It was a sever. I whispered it aloud. Root split. The corridor erupted in light. Kyle screamed as his projection distorted, tearing like cloth. My other self staggered back as the chip in her chest flared. Ghosts poured out of the capsules, screaming, dissolving, free. I felt myself splitting, not merging, not dying, splitting. My memories, my emotions, my code tearing into two equal halves. Kyle's voice shredded into static. "You'll kill us both." My other self gasped. "Stop, Selix, stop." But I didn't stop. I shoved both hands out, palms open, and dragged all the code into me. Kyle's echo, my other self's tether, the council's control string. And then, silence. When I opened my eyes, the corridor was gone. The capsules, the ghosts, the enforcers, gone. I was standing in a wide black space, endless, like a sky with no stars. And in front of me, two figures. Kyle, now solid, breathing, human again, and the other Selix, also whole, alive, blinking at me. But I felt different. My body, my code was everywhere. I could feel the layer humming under my skin like a living organism. Kyle's voice was a whisker. "You've taken the root. You're not just inside the system anymore. You are the system." The other Selix's voice trembled. "You freed us from the council, but now you're their replacement." I looked down at my hands. Light pulsed under my skin. My heartbeat echoed across the void like thunder. I had become the code that governed emotion. I had become the heart of the layer. And yet, I was still me, still Selix. I lifted my head. "You're both free," I said softly, "but you'll have to face what freedom costs." Kyle's face darkened. "What about you?" I managed a small, crooked smile. "I'm the firewall now." And as the void began to break into dawn, I felt something new blooming inside me. Not control, not power. Choice. Darkness cracked open like glass. Light spilled into the void, weaving patterns around me. Threads of memory, fragments of code, pulses of feeling. I could feel them all, every heartbeat of every person still connected to the layer. The system was no longer a cage, it was a living map inside me. Kale stood a few paces away, breathing hard. He was solid now, no flicker of projection, no echo. A man, alive but stripped bare. "Selix, what have you done?" The other Selix, my flesh and blood self, clenched her fists. Her eyes burned like mine once did, but she looked small, human, fragile. She's become it. The system, the chip, the firewall. I spoke, and my voice vibrated through the void. "I'm not the firewall, not the council, not you. I'm something in between." Kale took a step closer. "If you control the layer, you can shut it down. You can end every chip. You can bring everyone back." I tilted my head. End it or rebuild it? Those are not the same. The other Selix hissed. "We didn't come this far so you could rebuild their prison." Her words cut, but beneath them I heard fear. Not anger, not hate, fear of losing herself again. I raised my hands, and the void shifted. Around us bloomed visions of people waking from their chips, some crying, some screaming, some collapsing. Entire cities flickered in and out, their order breaking into chaos. "This is what freedom looks like," I said quietly. No control, no sedation, no one ready for the pain. Kale stared at the visions, his jaw tight. "They'll destroy themselves," he muttered. The other Selix's eyes filled with tears. Then teach them, guide them, don't own them. The word own sliced deeper than I expected. My pulse echoed, a tremor across the layer. Kale's voice sharpened. Selix, don't listen to her. She's part of the old system. You and I, we can rewrite it, make it cleaner, stronger. No counsel, no pain, only order. The other Selix stepped between us. Order without choice is still slavery. I looked at them both, the man who whispered love like a code and the girl who carried my heartbeat. Do you hear yourselves? I asked softly. You both want control. One calls it guidance, one calls it order, but it's still control. Silence fell. I closed my eyes and reached deeper into the layer. Beneath the code, beneath the ghosts, there was a pulse, a core, a small, quiet place where the original program still whispered. I felt my mother there, not as a person, as a memory, a pattern she'd left behind when she built the first chip. Remember who betrayed you, she had said. I whispered back, I do. And I saw it. Kale wasn't the only betrayer. My mother had helped the council build the first firewall. She'd hidden her guilt inside me. She'd left me as the fail-safe. My eyes opened. I'm the betrayal, I said aloud. Kale frowned. What? I was built to reset this world if it broke. That's why I'm here. That's why I exist. The other Selix's breath hitched. You're saying... I met her eyes. I'm not just Selix. I'm the root key. Kale's face twisted into desperation. Then use it. Use it to end the chaos before it starts. The other Selix's voice was hoarse. Use it to let us live, even if it's messy, even if it hurts. I felt my heartbeat surge, stretching across the layer like a tide. Every chipped mind vibrated under my touch. Every city trembled. I lifted both hands. Then I'll do neither. I won't be your god. I won't be your cage. I pushed outward. The layer began to unravel, not into nothing, but into doors. Each door a choice. Each person their own key. No control, no sedation, no system left to hide behind. Kale lunged forward. Selix, don't. I looked back at him one last time. You taught me one true thing. Love isn't a code, neither is freedom. Light poured out of me, flooding the void, flooding the cities, flooding the world. And then, silence. When I opened my eyes, I was standing in a street I didn't recognize. No layer, no code, just sky. Just wind, just me. Kale was gone. The other Selix was gone. And for the first time, I didn't know if that was a loss or a beginning. My stomach tightened. She's what? She's building a haven outside the ruins, Kale said. A place with rules, safety, no chaos. People are flocking to her. They're calling her the new guardian. I stared at him. So, she's making another layer? Not a layer, he said. A city, a movement. But the promise is the same. Safety, order, no pain. I laughed once, sharp and bitter. And you came to tell me this because... Kale's eyes darkened. Because she won't forgive you. And she won't forgive you either. You're the key who abandoned her. I swallowed. The scar over my heart ached. She was never supposed to exist, I murmured. But she does, Kale said, and she's winning. People are terrified, Selix. They want their cage back. If you don't stop her now, she'll build it for them. Silence stretched between us, heavy as lead. The sky above turned the color of steel. I turned toward the rising smoke. Then I'll go to her. Kale tilted his head. To fight? I didn't answer. I started walking. Behind me, Kale called out, Be careful. She's not just you anymore. She's everything you wanted to forget.
His words echoed down the empty street, following me as the sky dimmed and the screams of the waking city rose like a storm.
The road to the smoke was long and broken, lined with cracked pavement and the remains of old digital billboards now frozen in place. People drifted past me like ghosts, some dazed, some angry, some clutching each other as if afraid to fall apart. Freedom had opened their eyes, but not their wounds. By the time I reached the outskirts, the air smelled of ash and oil. Tents and makeshift walls rose like a new city out of the ruins. Not code, not glass, but steel and fabric and hands. On the highest point of the settlement stood a black banner stitched with a red symbol, a heart split down the middle. "True heart," someone whispered as they passed me, their face shining with hope. "She saved us! She's the only one who knows what to do." I felt a tremor under my scar. She was here, my other self. Guards stopped me at the gate. They weren't enforcers, they were volunteers, faces lined with exhaustion, but eyes steady. One looked at me strangely, as if recognizing something he couldn't name. "You can't enter without clearance," he said. I met his gaze. "Tell her Selix is here." He blinked. "Selix?" He whispered the name like a ghost story and ran off. Minutes later, the gate opened. I walked through alone. Inside, the haven was quiet but tense. Families sat in circles, children clinging to parents. People whispered prayers or promises. Above them, screens flickered with simple messages: order, calm, healing. And at the center, on a platform of black stone, stood her, the other Selix. She looked like me, but sharper, taller somehow, her hair tied back, her eyes burning with something that wasn't quite hate, but wasn't love either. She wore no chip. She didn't need one. The people had already given her their trust. When she saw me, she smiled faintly. "You came. I had to." We faced each other across the platform. The crowd around us went silent, their whispers like a tide pulling back. "I freed the world," I said quietly. "But this is a cage." Her smile didn't falter. "A cage? No, a refuge, a place for the broken. Not everyone can survive chaos. Not everyone can survive a cage either," I said. Her voice hardened. "You didn't see what I saw when we split. You didn't feel their fear. They're lost, Selix. They need someone to lead them." "They need choice," I shot back. "Not another god." She stepped down from the platform, closing the space between us. "You think I want to be a god? You think I enjoy their worship? No. But if no one builds a wall, the wolves will come." Kale's voice echoed in my head. "She's winning." I whispered, "You're not saving them. You're remaking them." Her eyes flashed. "Better me than Kale." "He's gone," I said. "He won't come back." She tilted her head. "You still trust him?" "I don't trust anyone anymore," I said softly. The crowd was holding its breath now. Children peeked from behind legs. A woman clutched a rosary of old circuit boards. Everyone was waiting to see which of us would break first. I raised my voice just enough to carry. "You're free now. You don't need her. You don't need me. You don't need anyone telling you what to be." She laughed once, bitter. "You sound like Kale. All ideals, no blood. You think freedom feeds people? You think it holds back the mobs? You think it comforts children at night?" I stepped closer, until we were almost touching. "I think freedom hurts, but it's real, and real is better than numb." Something flickered in her eyes then,
doubt, our memory. The scar on my chest burned as if she felt it too. She whispered, just for me, "You left me. I had to. If I'd chosen you, you'd still be a shadow." Her hand twitched. For a heartbeat, I thought she might strike me. Instead, she turned to the crowd. "They want safety," she said. "They want order. They want peace. And you'd give them chaos? I'd give them themselves." A child's voice rose from the crowd, trembling. What if we don't want either? The question hung in the air like a blade. She looked at me. I looked at her. We both heard it. We both understood. I reached out my hand, not to take her power, not to fight, but to offer. Come with me, not as leader and ghost, as Selix, as one. No cages, no thrones. She stared at my hand. The crowd murmured. For a long, long moment, nothing moved. Then her fingers brushed mine. Warm, trembling, human. And as we touched, the scar between us pulsed once, like a heartbeat, and then went still. Days passed, or maybe years. Time no longer felt like numbers. The sun rose and fell, and people began to live again. Some stayed in True Heart's city, reshaping it into a place of healing, not rule. Others wandered into the open lands, searching for something that didn't yet have a name. No one called me savior, no one called me ghost, just Selix. I lived quietly at the edge of the rebuilt world, where the digital ruins met the grass. Sometimes I could still feel the layer humming deep underground, like a sleeping giant dreaming of us all. Kale's voice lingered in my thoughts, though he was gone. Love isn't a code. He was right, but he was wrong too. Love was never just a feeling. It was a decision, a risk, and I had taken it, over and over. One morning, a small boy came to find me, barefoot, eyes wide, carrying a piece of broken glass with faint light trapped inside. "Is this the code?" he asked. I knelt, took the shard, and turned it toward the sun. The light scattered like dust, shimmering, alive. "No," I said softly, "that's a memory, but if you hold it long enough, it might become something new." He smiled and ran off. When he was gone, I closed my eyes and listened. Somewhere far away, the world was learning to breathe without its machine lungs. People were arguing, crying, laughing, living. And in that sound, that wild, beautiful noise, I felt a pulse, not mine, not the layers, ours. The code was gone, but the heart remained. I stood, turned toward the horizon, and whispered to the empty air, "This time, we'll write our own world." The wind carried the words away. Somewhere beyond the hills, a new dawn was breaking. And for the first time since I'd been created, I didn't feel like a system or a savior or a code. I just felt alive.